He built a church in a city amongst the lowest church attendance in America, and it worked. And he's got a loan from a bank at the age of 12. Wow. You didn't go to gym, you didn't do any drugs or, medicine. You
Yep.
just followed three simple things.
Yep.
Don't eat after 6, say no to junk food, and 3, 4 times a week. And you lost 75 pounds. That's a miracle.
And
At 12 years, I was playing gully cricket in India, right? And dreaming about the next issue of the comic book. You got a bank loan at 12. Like,
at
what were
12.
you thinking?
And then there's this bank called Young Americans Bank. And literally, it's a bank that has a special charter from the state to offer financial products to those under 18 years old. So as a kid, I had a checking account. I had a credit card as a kid that had like $100 or $300 limit or something like that. But yeah, at 12, I had my first business loan and I paid that thing back and paid it back with interest. It was on my credit report, the whole nine.
He built a church in a city amongst the lowest church attendance in America, and it worked. He has a day named after him in 2 cities. And he's got a loan from a bank at the age of 12. Wow. My guest today is Bishop Kevin Foreman, the People's Bishop. Bishop, thank you so much for doing this and really glad to have you here.
Listen, I am super excited to be with you today. I think our conversation is going to add a lot of value to everybody listening because I know what it is to be in the valley. I know what it is to be on the mountaintop. I know what it is to be winning and I know what it is to be worrying. So I know what it is to be on every side of an issue, but I know how to come out victorious. And so I'm super excited about our conversation today. Thanks for having me.
Super. So let's get started. So, Bishop, you have written 5 books, but
Yes.
I want to start with Sins of Fathers. What is the research and journey you went through while writing this book?
So you know what? Sins of the Fathers is something that's it's a really a big centerpiece and a big keystone to everything I believe, everything I do. The joke is I came out of my mom's room with a Bible and a briefcase, that I had this affinity towards spirituality and this affinity towards business and entrepreneurship and those types of things. And so I was born in Denver, raised in Memphis, this little part of Memphis, Tennessee called Orange Mound. And you saw a lot. You saw drugs, you saw gangs, you saw a lot of things that are in inner city areas due to years of bad policy decisions, and some things that were very intentional here in the States. That being said, I should have been a statistic. I should have became what I beheld, but I didn't. And that's really what that book talks about. Sins of the Fathers, breaking generational curses. What's a generational curse? It's a dysfunctional pattern of behavior that's passed down and around, which means some of that stuff is based on where you grew up, the people you were around, the friends you had, the things you watch, the things you consume. And I am literally, my life is the life of a curse breaker. I should have been a statistic. I should have been, caught up in drugs and gangs and a bunch of kids. And I should have been that, but I wasn't because I made a decision to break those curses.
Okay, tell me more about the book. Like,
Yeah.
what's more interesting in it?
Yeah. So my stepfather, let's just start right at the beginning. The opening of the book is actually a story about my stepfather, who was an abuser. He was a womanizer. There's this movie years ago. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it was basically kind of like a story of the life of the singer Tina Turner. You remember Tina Turner, the late Tina Turner? And it was called What's Love Got to Do with It? And her husband, Ike Turner, in the movie and in life, was an abuser and all of these different types of things, womanizer, etc. And so from that movie, when I saw it, I gravitated towards it because I was like, that's my stepfather. He was an abuser. He was a womanizer. He was a drug user. He was a lot of things that when you look at him, you'd say, these are the things you do not want to be. And so that opening story in the book is a story about him. It's a story about how when his mother was pregnant with him, she actually unalived his father because he was attacking her, abusing her, and in self-defense that happened. And in that, he never, ever met his biological father. Yet he became exactly like his biological father, a womanizer, an abuser, all of those things. So the point is that this thing is more than just, the saying, monkey see, monkey do. Some of these things are spiritual. What does that mean? It's at work behind the scenes. You can't see it, but you can see the fruit of it. You can't touch it, but you can see the fruit of it. You may not be able to point it out, but there are things that are happening in the invisible world that are impacting things in the visible world. And so that opening story is so powerful because I literally lived that. I have lived through that the entirety of my life. So I've seen what it is to not break curses, and I've seen what it is to be the curse breaker.
So you mean to say this is in your subconscious, like you don't want to become that, but you become that because your father was like that.
Yes, and not even just father. Like it's so fathers just means generations before you. So it could be a mom, it could be an aunt, it could be an uncle, it could be the
Mm.
environment you were in. And
Mm.
many people, have you ever said something to yourself like this? Like, I don't know why I'm like that. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I think
Yeah,
that way. I don't know. We've all done that. And the reason we've all done that is because, again, you got this invisible world that's impacting the visible world. You've got these subconscious things, and that's such a great way to say it because that's all your spirit is. It's your subconscious. You got these subconscious things that are doing things, acting a certain way, scared of certain things, have certain insecurities, have certain proclivities. And you're like, I don't know why. I don't know why I do this. Like you ever got mad about something? I don't know why I'm mad. Ever got upset about
yeah,
something? I don't know why I'm upset. It's the same principle that these things that are invisible are affecting what's visible, and sometimes you don't even know why. And that's why the book is so powerful. It's a short read, but the book basically walks you through these are some things. And then once your eyes are open, you can't unsee what you've seen. You'll be like, whoa, okay. I didn't even know that. Like there's certain things we say, that's just how I am. No, that's not really who you are. That's what was handed to you. It's like going to the airport, picking up somebody else's baggage and walking out with it and saying, wait a minute, what is this? This is my baggage.
yeah.
No, it's not. Somebody else's.
So this is generational patterns, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you break it? How
Great
do you
question.
get out of it?
Yeah. So the book talks about it, but the simple is this. Number one, there has to be an awareness. Once there's because again, if you think that it's normal or you think that this is just the way that I am, you'll think there's nothing to change and you'll never change what you're comfortable with. You're never going to do something different with what you've decided should remain in your life. So number one, there's got to be an awareness. And then number two, and I talk about this in the book, number two, then there has to be a systematic takedown of what that issue is. And not only a systematic takedown, that's both a spiritual thing and a natural thing, but then what we need to do is we need to put something else there. We need to replace that behavior or replace that pattern or do something different. For example, I saw debt. I saw lack. I saw bad financial decisions. So that's what I should have been because you often become what you behold. Once I was made aware that that's a curse, it's a destructive pattern. I then said, let me create a life where I'm not repeating those things. And so, like, that's when I got into, this kind of goes into one of my other books. I got into the power of debt freedom, owing nobody anything except to love them. I got into the power of making very good business decisions, making sure that I set my life up so that I was not dependent on other people. You mentioned this. Started my first business when I was 12. There
Yeah,
was something in me that said, I don't want to live like that. So awareness, and then you have to systematically break those things. So A, B, I'll make it simple, A, B, and then C, then you have to
see,
change them. You got to put something else there. So it's like Michael Jackson's song, ABC, easy as one, two, three.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you just said starting business at 12 years.
Yeah.
Like at 12 years, I was playing gully cricket in India, right? And dreaming about the next issue of the comic book. You got a bank loan at 12. Like,
At
what were
12.
you thinking? And what
Yeah.
was the bank thinking when you went there for
Yeah.
a loan?
So the cool thing is, so born in Denver, raised in Memphis, back in Denver. And in Denver, there's this bank called Young Americans Bank. And literally, it's a bank that has a special charter from the state to offer financial products to those under 18 years old. So I
Okay.
took advantage of it. So as a kid, I had a checking account. I had a credit card as a kid. I had like $100, $300 limit or something like that. But I had a credit card. And at 12, I was like, okay, I want to start this business. I was like, I need some money to start this business. And so I got a business loan. And it was like, I don't know, between $300 and $600, something like that. I don't know. Maybe I know it was like under 1,000. And to this day, That bank still has a picture of me on the second floor of the bank, where they go train entrepreneurs and what have you. Every entrepreneur, every young person that walks through that bank, high school student, junior high student, elementary student, they have to walk past me holding that business plan from when I was 12 years old. And well, it was different. So I was the first one. I pioneered the program because I went to them and I said, I want a business loan. They're like, we're thinking about this and that. You can be our test. And I was. And that began all of my entrepreneurial endeavors. The business was basically, I called it an enterprise at that time, right? Because, I'm 12 years old. And so, I got big plans to take over the world at that time. And so it was like a lawn care business and a tutoring business. My first clients, of course, were my nieces and nephews and cousins and what have you, or not nieces and nephews, but cousins. And so as a result, I literally saw, that loan repaid. But then it gave me a hunger for something because I started learning how to make my own money. Started learning how to do my own thing, and it took me down the path that I would eventually go down. And but yeah, at 12 I had my first business loan, and I paid that thing back, and paid it back with interest. It was on my credit report, the whole nine. It was a great experience to have as a young man.
So I am curious about that business. What was it and how it went like
Yeah.
for the first year when you started?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it was like a tutoring service and lawn care and other things. Because it was a one-man show, like when it came to
Yeah.
lawn care, I could undercut everybody else. So, I got my lawnmower and all of that, and I would go and go to homes, and they say, "Oh, I'm paying, I don't know, let's just say $100 a month." And I said, "Okay, good. Well, I'll do it for 75." Oop. I just undercut everybody because I didn't have the expenses. I'm a kid. I live at home. I would do it in the neighborhood, so I can walk to these homes and what have you. So I just got very creative and innovative. My approach was, I don't want anybody being able to control my life, and that change made it such that I always built a life where I think in all my life I've had two, no, three quote unquote regular jobs. I'll tell you when they were. One, because I wanted to be an attorney. So when I started this business, I did this
Yeah.
paid internship at a law firm because I wanted to do that. So it was a paid internship. So I had my business, and then also at the same time, I did this paid internship. I even have a picture. I have to send it to you of me standing in front of that law office when I negotiated with the senior partner for what I would be paid for the paid internship. I told him, I have a business, so I don't want a job. I said I want a paid internship because I want to go into law eventually. And I negotiated my compensation with him. It was the craziest thing. We were in the parking lot, and he said, he offered me, I don't remember what he offered me at the time. I think, I don't know, maybe $6 an hour. I don't know. I don't remember what it was, something like that. And I negotiated. I think I got like 8.50 or $9 an hour or something like that, which for a 12-year-old, like, come on, that was, you were just rolling in dough. At
Yeah.
that time, I mean, heck, even for some people today, whatever. But back then, and so that was one, and I was a kid. The second one that I had, I worked briefly as a teenager. I worked at like a modeling. I was the director of marketing actually for a modeling agency and talent agency, which taught me marketing and building and all those types of things. And actually, one day I had to turn into a model trainer and teacher, and then everybody loved my classes. So like I learned how to do runway and all of that. And so I would teach the men, and even the young ladies, I would teach them how to do runway and all of that. Because one day I was in my office, and the center director came in and said, the instructor's out. I need you to instruct. I said, I'm the director of marketing. Now, mind you, I'm in high school. I'm the director of marketing for this multi-million-dollar company. If I said the name, everybody would know the name because it's one of the biggest names. It was one of the biggest names in modeling and training schools ever. So actually, I'll just say it because there's nothing wrong with it. John Casablancas, it was that company, and they had a sister company, MTM Model Talent Management, and then another company that was, I guess, a sister company too, something like that, called I think Elite Models or something to that effect. But these were models like Naomi Campbell and names like that. that were part of that. And so the center director comes in my office one day. I'm in high school and says, I need you to teach. So I teach. And I was like, I liked it. And she was like, well, you did so good and everybody loved your class. I was like, okay, I'll guess I'll keep teaching. So that was the second one. And the third, quote unquote, real job or, regular job that I had, I was in high school in my junior or senior year, one of the two. And I had gotten into the real estate finance business. And when I did that, it went to a little bit of a patch where I was the number one producer, but nothing was closing. Nothing was closing. And at that time, the industry was much, much different than it was now. And nothing was closing. And I remembered saying, well, there's a scripture in the Bible that says a man that doesn't work doesn't eat. Well, I used to be a lot more thick. I used to look like a linebacker for a football team. So I said, man that doesn't work doesn't eat. So I was like, well, I got to eat. So I got to work. And I ended up working for a very short time for a company that would eventually, now they actually work for me. And I
Okay.
did that for a little while. And like literally, I mean, probably a month, maybe a month and a half. And then really outside of that, I've always called my own shots.
Okay. And building a church in Denver, when did that come in mind?
Yeah, so we started the church when I was 20 was it 20 21 21.
Wow.
Now I had been in so simultaneously running simultaneous to everything I just said. I got in ministry at the age of 12. So I started as a musician. I was a drummer. And I'll be honest with you, when I started, I was not good. So the goal of a drummer, everybody thinks of all the the goal of a
Yeah.
drummer is to keep the beat and keep it steady and keep it synchronized. Well, I would speed up, slow it down, speed up, slow it down, speed it up. Like my beat
Yeah.
was just all over the place. And this is before, like now in music, they use these things called stems and tracks. So now, like you have a thing in your ears that's keeping you on the beat type of thing. Well, then you didn't have that. It was just how good you were, to do that. So I started, I wasn't that good. I eventually got very good. I started doing leadership management, or excuse me, leadership training, teaching these types of things. And again, I was in high school simultaneously to all those business things. And I loved ministry. I loved seeing people's lives change. I love seeing people's lives impacted. And so I was in ministry since 12 too. 21, I think. Make a long story short, we plant this church in Denver, Colorado, which is 46 out of 50 for the lowest church attendance in the nation. Now, business people
Yeah.
might be listening to that and they may think, okay, well, this is where I can check out because that's a church. I don't have anything to do with a church. Actually, it's a lot of the principles of planning a church are all entrepreneurial principles. So think of you're going to put a barbecue restaurant in a place where everybody likes to eat fish tacos. Right? That's basically
Yeah.
what it is to
Yeah.
start a business, start a church, which there is a business element of it. I don't shy away from talking about that. It takes the gospel's free, but to get it to people, that costs money. And so, in that, we plant this church, 46 out of 50 for lowest church attendance in the nation. And then, now, if people are listening to me, they can't see me. But those that can see me, I'm a black man. Now, why do I say that? Because Denver is 4% black, right? The state, rather. And so Denver skews slightly higher. But that being said, there's not a lot of ethnic or racial diversity. So it's like starting a barbecue restaurant in a place that's health food crazy. And you're starting a barbecue restaurant with a meat that, people in that region don't generally eat, right? I'm trying to make it
Yeah.
similar. So that's crazy. Who does that? I did.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay.
And it worked, and it worked really, really, really well. We became one of Denver's largest African American led churches, and here recently we expanded to the Atlanta, Georgia area. So we'll be doing a new location here in this area, but we saw things happen that just don't normally happen, and I think part of that's just a testament to where we started the conversation. I really see myself as a curse breaker that every limit, I'm supposed to break it. Every boundary, I'm supposed to cross it. Every line, I'm supposed to run over it. That's the way I see myself.
Amazing. And what were the challenges when you were building the church? Because you were building the church in a city where is basically very lowest
Yep.
number of people go to church, right?
Yep.
So what did you find? Why people were not going to church?
Yeah, lots of reasons. Lots of reasons. And one of the things I loved about starting in Denver is I remember believing that God's instructions to me were this: if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. And sometimes we are given a hand that's not a good hand. And we're like, oh, why was this happening to me? And you look at
Yeah,
somebody else who was given a good hand, and you'll be like, oh my God, if I had that. But sometimes you're given the gift of gutter. Sometimes you're given the gift of not being given the best. Because if you can do that, you can do it anywhere else. And that's really what came from that. So there was lots of challenges. I mean, literally, when we started, personnel challenges, issues, you got to fund that vision. And remember, I was simultaneously in business, simultaneously in ministry. But when we start the church, the entire industry that I was in, that industry collapsed. I'm not talking about just our business. I'm talking about the
yeah,
entire industry. It's like dominoes collapsed. And so I was like, okay, God, why would you want me to do this at this stage? Like, this is something you do at your peak. Like, I literally had just opened a second office. We had to shut that office down and move everything to my primary office. Then we had to shut that office down. Then I had to move everything into my home office. Like, it was a lot of changes in a short amount of time. And now I'm starting this. I'm taking a leap when I feel most vulnerable. I'm taking a leap when, I was making more money in 1 month than many people would make, in years, or even some even a lifetime, to now I'm like, what are we gonna do? And it was crazy. I started that. Here's the truth. Your audience is gonna get the full scoop, because often when I tell the story, I don't get time to tell all of it. I started that church and I had my last $20,000 loan, and it wasn't just for me. It was what I had, or excuse me, just for the church. It's what I had to live off of. I decided to use it to plant the church. And here's what you need to know: over half of that went to an event that we brought in an event planner. Total bust. So we spent 10,000 out of this 20,000 on an event that's a total bust. We spent another 5,000 on just, stuff that we needed to get done. So I literally used the last of my resources to plant this church and see lives changed. And sometimes as an entrepreneur or business owner, you're going to be in those spots where
yeah.
it's a gamble. It's like pushing everything in and like, okay, this is what it is. But I gambled, and it's a gamble that paid off.
Yeah, because entrepreneurship is a kind of journey where out of 100, only three are going to succeed,
Yeah, yeah,
97 will fail, right? But you
yep,
still go into it and you'll have to take that courage, right,
yep,
to go through.
yep.
Amazing. So, then, Bishop, once the church was like, worked out well, then what
Mhm.
happened?
Great question. So, one, we build, and we did some crazy things up front. Like, I went on TV very early.
Yeah,
Again, one of those crazy things, but I believed I was supposed to do it, and we did it. Let me tell you how we did it. I was like, okay, I don't have a big crew. I have a big team. I just started. We started from scratch too. And I think that's important, because a lot of people tell their stories, but they don't tell you the truth of the story. We started from scratch with nothing, um, other than what I just mentioned. So here's what we did. We got one camera. We set that one camera up. I found there used to be this school that trained like TV people to go on to TV and radio and stuff like that. We found a kid at one of these schools who needed to get his hours in. So we brought him in. He was the camera guy. And I gotta be honest with you, like, I move a lot. I'm very animated. Sitting
yeah,
still is not something I do. I move, I'm animated, I do that. So half the shots, he couldn't even keep up with me. Half the shots, he couldn't do that. We'd shoot B-roll after church. We have everybody gather, get together real
yeah,
close, and then we have them come shoot B-roll of them clapping, of them celebrating, that type of thing. And so it go from the camera shot to me. I found the lady who did one of the big national TV ministries. that did her graphics and her video and all that editing. Of course, now it's much easier to do that stuff, but back then, you had specialized people and all of that.
Yeah.
Found her, and we produced a program that was the number one watched religious program in Denver. We were in between. We were on every network except CBS,
Wow.
and I did it with a one camera, one camera shot. I mean, it was crazy, right? And so, but it produced great fruit and great results. Interestingly enough, many of the people who came from TV are still with us to this day, from almost 20 years ago. And so, which is amazing. And we built, we grew, we faced lots of challenges. I remember one year in our early years between 2006 and 2008, we had to move 5 times. We were in a school, they meant to move around. And again, this is a great leadership lesson, because at the end of the day, it comes with your territory. Maybe this is your plan, and it's your plan
Yes.
until now. This has to be your plan, and that's your plan until now. You got to pivot. I learned how to pivot quickly. I learned how to pivot quickly. A pivot is only painful if you fight it. Other than that, boom, you make a change. And so, long
Yeah.
story short, we built it and grew it, like I said, to one of Denver's top African American led churches. We've seen now over almost 13,000 people make professions of faith. Our database now is well over 16,000 people that are connected in one way or the other. And we're always seeing growth every single year. And that's just the church. That's not to talk about my separate entrepreneurial for profit endeavors and things that I do separate from that. But there's so many lessons in the church. I'll tell you one of the biggest lessons outside of pivoting. One of the biggest lessons was recognizing I had to connect. I'll connect my childhood to my entrepreneurial journey. When you're an entrepreneur, everything about your personality, your childhood, your insecurities, your nuances, all of those things are going to come out, and you're going to have to confront them. And I discovered from being a kid, because of what I just described as my upbringing, I was very parentified, meaning I became a protector. I was very paternal, protector over my mom, protector over my brothers and sister, to protect them from my stepfather. And so as a result, I became a leader like that. So I would often protect people as like a father, opposed to leading like an executive. And so what does that
Right.
mean? You will deal with people that you are fighting for and protecting. But as far as they're concerned, this is a job. This is a check. This is
Yeah.
just the way up. And so it's not about being cynical. It's that in my leadership journey, my life came out. My life issues had to be confronted, because the way you lead is directly connected to the way you were led.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
It's a powerful thing.
it's really powerful. And then what you said is like, you are you're just not another leader, you're a protector, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So people have issues, okay?
Yeah.
All people have different type of issues, but
Yep.
then there is business,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you have to take those hard decisions,
Yep.
like when you cannot protect everybody all the time,
Yep.
right? So how do you talk yourself through this?
Oh, that's such a good question. So one of the ways I live is I live my life as a student. And so what does that mean? I'm always evolving. I never see myself as an expert, even though 99.9% of the rooms I'm in, podcasts I'm on, I'm brought to talk as an expert. I don't view myself that way. I view myself as a student. Every day I'm learning. Here's why that's important. It's a mental framework. If you see yourself as an expert, the moment you're wrong, it shatters you, right?
Yeah.
Because, well, I'm supposed to be the expert. It's supposed to go this way. It reduces your trust in you, and it reduces people's trust in you, because you're supposed to be the expert, and the experts were wrong. I don't view it that way. I'm a student. Students make mistakes. Students don't get everything right. Students are learning. I live that way. So, to be honest with you, that has been a process, that only within and here's some real truth, only within the last year was I able to fully recognize what was really going on behind the scenes. Because there are people who I would give a chance to that didn't deserve a chance. people that I would give an opportunity to that didn't deserve an opportunity. People that I would hold on to in staff roles or leadership roles, they should have been gone a long time ago. But that protector in me would fight for people because I saw that that's what you needed to do to be a protector. So, what I had to learn is ultimately people always mission first. I will always love people and care about people, but I will always put the mission before people. Always. What does that mean? People come, people go. Mission first. People love you,
Right.
people hate you. Mission first. People say you're the best thing ever, and then the next day they'll say they hate your guts. That's fine. Mission first. I learned people always mission first. And here's the second thing I did to deal with it. I realized that I could not attach or tether my sense of value, worth, leadership ability. I could not tether that to the applause of people. Because
Mm.
if you live for their applause, you'll die with their silence.
Right. That's really powerful. And then what you said is like, for us entrepreneurs, ego builds very fast
Yep.
because, I founded the company. This is my baby. This is my idea. I am the CEO or COO of the company or the founder of the company,
Yep.
and blah, blah, blah. It keeps
Yep.
on, piling up. But when you say that I go in as a humbled student,
Mhm.
right? You dissolve the ego that moment,
Yep.
right? Then you see through the things,
Yep.
right? Which your ego doesn't let you see through.
Yep.
That's really powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And every day I'm getting better. I think one of the best things every entrepreneur could do is create you a circle,
Yeah.
a tight circle of people who can see you as both Superman and Clark Kent. So remember, Clark Kent was, the guy with the glasses and
Yeah. Normal
from
guy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then you had Superman, which is, Superman, right?
Yeah.
And so you need people who can see you as both and respect you as both and love you as both and build you as both. I have a very tight circle that I can be the strong man with, and that I can also be the vulnerable man with.
Yeah.
And what that does is it makes me a better leader because it's like it's therapy, but it's also encouragement, it's building. And what a lot of entrepreneurs do is they only get around people they can talk business with. And that has its place. But you're more than a business owner or an entrepreneur. You are a man or a woman or whatever. You are a person. So if you don't tend to you, you're not going to be good at anything else you do. Physical
Right.
fitness is another thing that's
Yeah.
therapeutic for me. And so it hadn't always been that way, right? I've lost like 120 plus pounds. I had to get into this place of recognizing my health is directly connected to my leadership of my various businesses. And so it's therapy for me. So everybody knows Bishop is not going to miss his workout. I will cancel a meeting before I miss my workout. I will cancel a trip before I miss my workout because it's part of therapy for me. The word therapy means to heal. I got to keep myself healed because every day you're taking hits. That's a bar right there. Keep yourself
Mm.
healed because every day you're taking hits and nothing's wrong. Like that's the leadership journey. That's the entrepreneurship journey. You're going to take hits, but if you keep yourself healed, the hits don't hurt that much.
Nice. Nice. And you said a couple of seconds back you lost 120 pounds.
Yeah.
That's a marvel.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
did you do that? I'm curious to know the story behind it.
Yeah. So I woke up one day and I noticed that I was getting a little thick. And it kind of happens over time, right? So you don't really pay attention to it. It's like the boiling frog theory. Over time, you don't really pay
Yeah.
attention. And so I was a 38 waist and a 44 jacket, and I'm 5'9". And so I carried my weight though like a linebacker on a football team. And so one day I looked and I said, every time I come home, I go to sleep. So I would do two morning services, 9:15, 11:15. And then I go home and I'd be sleeping until like 8, 9, 10 o'clock that night. Then I go to a restaurant and eat a big platter if I wasn't traveling that day. And then go to sleep at 11 or 12. And I was like, this is not healthy. And I said, why am I so tired after doing this? I've only done it twice. Like, why am I so tired? And then one day I went to my doctor and I got my annual physical. which that's another thing for entrepreneurs and leaders. Get your physical, take care of your body. There's always more money to make. There's always
Yeah.
more deals to do. Take care of you. You can't build a business if you're dead. Take care of you. And so I went to my physical. And my doctor says, she said, Dr. Foreman, you are one click away from being pre-diabetic. And I'm like, pre-diabetic? Like, what are you talking about?
Oh.
I'm like, I just eat regular. She's like, well, you're one click away. I said, I got to do something. Long story short, I tried everything. Slim fast, slim slow, eat all the protein you want, eat all the
Yeah.
carbs you want, drink
Yeah.
this bottle of miracle juice, and in 48 hours, you'll be slim. Like I tried everything, Metabo Life, you name it, P90X, Billy Blank's Tabo. I tried it all. None of it ever really worked for me. And what I ended up doing is I actually prayed. And I said, okay, God, you got to give me a strategy. Well, I got a strategy. I lost the first 75 pounds in 3 months. All natural, by the way. No surgery, no drugs. I'm not against people who do it that way. I just didn't want to do it that way. And the first 75 pounds in 3 months, then another 20 pounds a couple months afterwards. And then over time, it's just added up to like 120 or so pounds because I started getting into the gym later on. But
How
yeah,
how on earth you lost 75 pounds in 3 months? What did you do
I,
actually?
yeah. So I did a whole masterclass on it to teach it. But I'll tell you, I stopped eating after 6 o'clock. So now they
Yeah.
call that intermittent fasting. Back then, when I did it, which not back then, just 2013. But when I did it, it didn't have a, it wasn't a name for it. It was just I didn't eat after 6. And you want to know where I got that from? I was watching a talk show, a Tyra Banks talk show,
Yeah.
and I heard them talk about you shouldn't eat late. And I was like, that makes sense. I'm gonna put that as part of my plan. Like every good business owner or good leader, you're like a Frankenstein. And what I mean by that is you take different parts from different
Yeah.
people and you build you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
You take a
Yeah.
little bit of that, take a little bit of that. Like, I don't matter being a copycat as long as I'm copying the right cat. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I took a little bit. And so I heard that and I was like, I got to stop eating after 6. I can't tell you why it was 6. 6 was just the time that I came up with. It was 6. So I stopped doing that. I stopped eating fast food, cold turkey. So I was a fast food connoisseur. Your McDonald's, your Burger Kings, your Wendy's, your
Yeah.
all of those different places. And I knew all the details. So, like, if you were to say, what are you going to get from McDonald's? I can tell you, I want a number one, supersize it with the Diet Coke, right? Because I knew it. Or I want a number 8, chop it in half, add pickles. Like I could tell you, Burger King, give me the
Yeah.
number 6, but add onions. Give me the fries and onion rings put together. And I'd always get a Diet Coke because I felt like, oh, I'm going to be healthy. And I stopped cold turkey one day. I said, no more fast food. This was part of this divine strategy I got. Right?
Right.
It's simple stuff, but it worked for me. No fast food. Stop eating after 6. And I just started walking. This is before I got into the gym. I just started walking 2 or 3 times a week, and I would just walk for 1 hour. It gave me mental clarity. It gave me joy. I felt good when I did it. I would do that a couple of times a week. And in 3 months, let me tell you how I found out I lost the weight. I was actually speaking at a leadership event that summer up in the mountains in Colorado, and I needed to wear a suit. We had been pretty casual that year in terms of dress, and so I used to always be in suits and ties. Now a lot of times I'm very casual, but back then I was always in suits and ties. And so I'm speaking to leaders, so I go to put my suit on. The suit is hanging off of me. I'm actually looking for the picture right now. The suit is hanging off of me. And I get frustrated and angry at my assistant. I said, whose suit is this? I said, how did you give me somebody else's suit? I was like, you have one job, was to just get
Yeah.
my suit. Like, how did you get the wrong suit? He said, sir, I promise you that's your suit. I said, no, it's not. He was a little bit taller and what have you. And so I said, that's not my suit. That's your suit. You brought my suit in place of your suit. Like I was legit angry about this. And I was so frustrated because I had to go down to teach in front of all these leaders with this baggy suit hanging off of me,
Yeah.
like I'm sagging my pants, like the belt won't keep them up, and all of that. Come to find out, on the way home, I said, "Let me stop and get a scale." I said because it's like a 3-hour drive back down to Denver from the mountains. I said to my assistant, I said, "Let's stop and get a scale." I said because something's off, and I was like, "I don't know what's going on." I got home. I got on that scale and I was like 230 something, 235. That's what I was beforehand. I looked at that scale, and I was whatever 75 less than that. So I was like 160.
Wow.
I said,
Seriously.
and the reason I didn't know, somebody says, "How do you know you didn't lose that much weight?" Is because I've been casual. So we were in, I was in jeans and sweats and joggers and something like that. So I just didn't pay attention to it. Back to that boiling frog theory, I didn't even recognize how much weight that I had lost, but I literally shed the weight. I mean, it was pretty intense. It was pretty intense. Matter of fact, it probably won't show good on the camera, but I'm gonna try it anyhow, and maybe we'll send it to you. But there is a before. I don't know if you can see it. That's a before and after of me.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
you see that difference there?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's intense, and I keep these pictures to remind me
Yeah.
of that journey and that process, because again, I didn't even know what I was doing. And sometimes, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, you don't even recognize the step. Oh, here's the one. Okay, I got to show you this one. This is me standing in my old pants.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So this is the first 75, and what day is that picture? That picture is October 14th, 2013 is that picture.
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy? Oh,
Yeah,
hold
it
on. Wait, I
is.
got one more for you. Remember, I told you my suit was hanging off of me and I got to do these leaders? Okay, look, I got that picture too. That you see how those pants are hanging? I mean, just hanging. Of course,
Yeah.
everybody wears some baggy pants now.
Yeah, yeah. Those are like, baggy pants hanging
Yeah,
around, right?
yeah. Everybody does that now. But then, like, that wasn't the thing. And you can see it. It's a full suit, but I had to take that suit. I was so mad because I said, I can't believe my assistant couldn't get my suit together. Like, I was so mad. But
Oh my God.
yeah,
That's so let me get this straight. You didn't go to gym, you didn't do any other drugs or medicines or stuff like that to reduce your weight, right? You
yep,
just followed three simple things.
yep,
Don't eat after 6,
yep,
say no to junk food,
yep.
and do the walking 3-4 times a week,
That's it.
and you lost 75 pounds.
75 pounds. There was,
That's a miracle.
yeah, I did. I would do, normally I would have like a salmon salad,
Yeah.
and I just loved it. And one of my favorite restaurants had the most amazing salmon salad. They don't have it anymore, but I used to have that. And then I would have a smoothie, apples and greens smoothie. And it had this algae in it called spirulina that makes you feel full. It's good for your skin. That's why I look younger today than I did, 20 years ago. As I age, I keep looking younger because I just believe in taking care of my body. Let me not say as I age, as I mature, because I don't like the word age.
Yeah.
As I mature, I look younger, and so that algae and just some other things are part of that. But I take good care of me because there's only one of me. And if you're a leader or an entrepreneur and you're not taking good care of yourself, it's not a flex to not be good to you. It's not a flex to say, "Oh my God, I worked 20 hours yesterday." That's not a flex. That's saying something needs some order, something needs some structure. Somebody's getting paid who maybe doesn't need to be getting paid because all of that shouldn't be on you. So, I had to realize, like, take care of me. So even now, my schedule at a certain time, the day is over. I used to be the type of person I would go, and that's part of why my eating habits were unhealthy. I would start early, end late, and then eat late. And so I said, no, 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 I'm not living like that. I said, at the end of the day, at a certain time, nothing else can be scheduled, nothing else can be done because I got to take care of me.
Superb. And that is really important in entrepreneurship because we forget about ourselves, our well-being, because we take that load of things like we need to take care of our families, we need to take care of the people who work
Yep,
for us, and we
yep,
are responsible for everything, every
right,
damn thing happening in the world,
yep,
and we forget about ourselves,
yep.
right?
So
So that's
true.
a superb advice. Bishop, moving on, money and faith. I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And your book, Making Money Moves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That book was actually the first book I wrote. And you want to know why I wrote it? After that story I told you about, having built that successful business
Yeah.
and watching the entire industry collapse, that's when I wrote that book because I saw that there's some principles. And here's literally, again, another one of those prayers. I said, okay, God, if you get me out of this, I will teach other people how to get out of it. And he did. And so that was that book. I wrote that book in 3 days. And we were having a blizzard in Denver. So I had nothing else to do, couldn't go anywhere. So I sat at my laptop, and in 3 days at my dining room table, because for some reason I liked working at my dining room table. I've never actually liked working in my home office. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't even like working in my home office now, right? But that's an interesting thing. I always like working somewhere else other than my office, but except like at the campus or whatever. But nonetheless, I ended up writing that book in 3 days, and I wrote all of the lessons that I learned, and that got me out of that financial valley. Again, just imagine on Friday you're leaving on top of the world, and by Monday the world is gone. That's basically what that was in that industry.
Yeah.
On Friday, we had millions of dollars of loans in the pipelines of mortgage brokers. By Monday, the banks we use were gone. It was over. Companies were, I mean, they just were shutting down like that. It was just over. And I had just opened a brand new office, had about 50 staffers at that office, loan officers, processors, administrative staff. I had the whole floor on an office building. Excuse me, the whole, well, it's on that level we were on, it was kind of split in half, but we had the whole part that you could actually occupy. And so, I watched that thing collapse, and I said, "Whoa!" I know what it is to go through loss. I know what it is to go
Yeah.
through challenges. I know what it is to say, "What am I gonna do?" I know what it is to make bad deals, and not know you made a bad deal until it's at the end. So many principles I learned, and I put them in the book, and I went through it so you don't have to. That's the way I like to say that. Learn from me. People often say experience is the best teacher. That is a lie. Somebody
Yeah.
else's experience is the best
Experience.
teacher,
Yeah.
because I can just read their book. I can just watch this podcast. I can just learn the lesson from them. I don't have to go through it.
Yeah.
You literally can collapse decades into days when you learn from somebody else's experience. You can collapse years into hours when you learn from somebody else's experience. And so that's exactly what that book's about. And a lot of times when it comes to faith and money, people separate the two.
Yeah.
So they think,
Exactly.
to be successful, I can't be spiritual. Not true. To be spiritual, I can't be successful. Not true. I'm successful because of my spirituality. The two go together. And the book shows you those principles, that you can be a business owner, an entrepreneur, and be very successful and still be tethered to good spiritual principles. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Those two things converge. And the book talks about that, because my life is a testament to that. And let me say this, and I am unapologetic about succeeding and doing well. I'm also not extremely flashy. That's just me. That's my own personal taste. But I'm also not extremely flashy. But I recognize that money is just a resource. That's it. That's it. Money just gives you options. It's just a resource. It's not your source.
Yeah. Like for me, I define like money in my life is a way to get freedom,
Hmm.
right? Is a source to get freedom, but my
Hmm.
ultimate aim is not earning money. My ultimate aim is to get the freedom, right?
Freedom. Yep.
To do the things I want to do in my life, right?
Yes.
Now for everything you need money in
Yep.
today's world, right?
Yep.
But then
Yep.
money is that tool to basically achieve that. So
Yep.
but then you should not be working only for money, right?
No.
You should be working for something bigger than
Bigger.
money. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I completely agree with that. I've never chased money, ever. What I chased was purpose. That's what I was
Right.
after.
Yeah.
So even in all of my businesses, I'll talk about succeeding, but I would hire people that nobody else would hire, because that's back to that parentified thing in me of wanting to build people up and protect people. I would teach people the business that other people would overlook, that other people would say, they're not this, they're not that, whatever. I would do it that way. From a ministry standpoint, I didn't get into ministry because I was chasing money and, I want to get that to all these people so I can get one.
Yeah.
It was about the impact. It's still about the impact for me. And when you chase purpose, paper follows purpose, if I can say it that way. In the
Mm.
South, we sometimes call paper money. paper follows purpose. I could use another word for my more sophisticated audience. Pecuniary ability and prowess comes when you chase purpose. So for me, it was always bigger than the money. It's bigger than the money now. Even when I'm looking at deals, because I own private equity, and so I mergers and acquisitions, so I buy and sell businesses, and even when I'm looking at those deals, sure, there's a buy box of what I want to buy and some basic metrics, but I look at the bigger deal. I'm like, how many jobs is this going to create? How much freedom will I have? What impact will this have? How can I vertically and horizontally integrate this into my existing portfolio? So it's always bigger than the money. If you're chasing money, you're broke. If you think money is the goal and money is the whole thing, you're broke. Because let me prove it to you. They say most millionaires, and most people are trying to become millionaires. Most millionaires, they say, are unhappy. How is it that you're unhappy and you're the thing that most people want to be? You
Yeah.
see millionaires and billionaires committing suicide, making, just doing crazy things, going on these wild, you like, look at what they're doing. They're like, why would you do that? Because if money really satisfied you, nobody would be doing that. Money is a resource. It's a tool. It's not your source.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like most of the times what we do is for work, for getting that extra deal, for getting that extra payment, right?
Yeah.
We skip the family time, we skip
Yeah.
going to our loved ones and friends.
Yeah.
Some of us basically don't go out and meet our friends over the weekends for years,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then what was some time, like, happy time, me time, right?
Yeah.
Where you could go out and went out with your friends, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you're frustrated about, now that is like inside you, it's
Yeah.
building up because you're not going out there expressing to anybody
Yeah.
because you're just running behind the money.
Yep. Yep. So true. And I got to be honest, that's part of my learning thing. I learned, I love to work. So, because I love results. So I'm a results oriented person. But I had to learn, like, my mother said something to me really powerful one day. My mom is an amazing woman. She's my biggest fan, and I'm going to show you this. She's an interior designer amongst other things,
Yeah.
and she was sitting in my office. We were redoing this room, and she was sitting in my office, and she wrote on my little sticky pad, "Love you," and then did her and then her signature, and
Wow.
which is so funny because as a kid,
Yeah.
I used to sign permission slips and stuff on her back. And I'd tell her what I did later on. I was just that type of a kid. So I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to Alaska. Alaska? What are you talking about? What paperwork? What are you talking about? I was like, oh, I already signed it. Don't worry about it. I already took care of it. But so seeing her signature is so funny to me because I mastered as a kid. I mastered doing that. But she said to me one day, she said, for all of these things you've accomplished and succeeded, so what are you going to enjoy any of it? And I said to her, which is true, I said, I do enjoy it. I do this, I do this, I do this. But I really stepped back and think about it. And I said, you know what? I need to create a life I don't need a vacation from. And
Right.
it shifted something in me because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to live my daily life. I'm not going to hold up my enjoyment until now I'm on vacation. Now I'm on this trip. I was like, I'm going to enjoy it. And so I started doing all kinds of things. Day trips. I'll hop on a plane and go somewhere just to go eat, and I'll take a day trip. Lots of things, simple things that I enjoy. Sometimes it's just great people. I love what you said, just about friends, just good people, like just enjoying people who enjoy you. Simple things so where you enjoy your life.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah.
But then we tend to forget about it every
Yep.
day and
Yep.
get into the daily,
Yep.
chaos and hustle, right?
Yep.
And also, Bishop, 16th October, right?
Yeah.
It is, like Bishop Foreman's day
Yeah.
in
In Denver and
Denver
Aurora.
and Aurora. So,
Yeah.
what's the story behind it?
Yeah, another one of those great honors. The mayor of Denver, which is the capital city of Colorado, and Aurora, which is the largest suburb. I think the largest suburb, one of the largest. Oh, yeah, largest suburb of Denver. And Denver did it first. A few years later, Aurora did it. So we made a lot of impact in the political realm. And let me be clear about what I mean by that. not what we see today in terms of like a weaponization. What we did is we would work with political leaders to get things done and elected officials to get things done on policy things to better the lives of people. And so, when they had a need, they pick up the phone and call Bishop Foreman. I remember one year we started doing our back to school festival, and the school district called us and said, "We can't meet the need. We got too many students that need it. So, Bishop Foreman, we're calling you. We're calling on you. We're calling on Harvest. We need you to take care of this. What can you do to handle this for us?" And we did it. Like, we would do those types of things all the time. So our impact was noted. We were known for working with elected officials, getting things done, helping them accomplish policy that was going to better the lives of people. And not just a bunch of blah, 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 blah. We're trying to even force what we believed or thought on the people. And so, as a result of that, they made October 16th Bishop Foreman Day in Denver. And then a few years later, Aurora did the same thing because we were originally in Denver, then moved to Aurora. And a few years later, Aurora did the same thing. And it was just a great honor. I still have it on my wall over there. So I didn't get a key to the city. Some cities have keys. I didn't get a key. There's no key to the city. I got a nice plaque though, and nice recognition. And you know what I mean? Like, it's not even just about me. It's about the movement we built and are still
Yeah.
building, and the impact that we have. Wherever we are, people feel it. And that's one of the ways I measure my results and success in life is that if I was to no longer exist, would it matter that I did? And if I can't
Wow.
answer that with a yes, that means I got more work to do.
Wow. That is so powerful.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. Like,
Yeah.
and what was your feeling like when you were receiving this? They named the day after you. What was your first reaction?
Yeah. Yeah. But my first reaction was, wow, it's a great honor. Two, though, I really looked at it as, to be honest, because I'm the type of person like I keep it moving. I was like, this is great. Okay, now what do we got next? To be honest, that was my initial response.
Wow.
Now, looking back, it's when I'm doing shows like yours and when I'm having conversations with people and they begin to go through my bio, it's almost like reminding me because I'm just always moving on to the next thing. And so, I remember when I did my first, $1 million deal. And, people, oh my God. And I moved on to the next thing. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's nice. Moving on to the next thing. Like, I remember when we hit certain metrics in terms of people we were reaching or things like that in the church side. And I was, oh, that's great. I moved on to the next. So it's only recently to where I look back on that and I think, wow, like how awesome is that? And what an honor. But
Yeah.
honestly, when it happened, I celebrated all of that. And then I looked over too. There's one lady, she does all of my pictures and portraits and degrees and certificates and all that. She does that. She loves to do that. And so, we did it. And I'm like, okay, have her to go ahead and get this put together. And so we could do that. I moved on to the next thing. Okay, guys, what's next in the menu? Oh, yeah, agenda, like, so I'm learning to slow down and celebrate the successes because there's always going to be more things to succeed at. Slow down, celebrate it. Don't get stuck. Don't stop, but do celebrate. Do pause to celebrate.
Yeah, because that gives you a sense of accomplishment, a contentment, like, wow, something has happened.
Right.
It's good, and I should not stick to it, but I should not
Yep.
even leave it. I should enjoy the moment and then
Yep.
move on,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
That's amazing. And Bishop, you also talk a lot about taboo topics, right?
Yeah.
So, most uncomfortable topic that you have brought in, and how did people react?
That is I've never been asked that question. That's a really good question. There's so many, especially now. There's so many. I'll tell you. I remember one that I was talking about, and it was a spiritual subject, and a very natural thing. It was about something around. I don't want them to flag your show, so I'll just say it was about SX. Right? You
Hmm.
fill in the
Hmm.
right? Just because I don't want to flag the show.
Understand.
Not that I'm afraid to talk about it. It's just I don't want
Yeah.
them to flag you. And so I remember having a conversation that was just a very honest um, biblical presentation. that gave people very truthful information that took a lot of bondage and guilt and shame off of people for a subject that I was like, there's not, like, you're good. There's no issue there. It's like everything's fine. Like they were looking at it like God's condemning them and he's mad. And like, no, like not at all. And the feedback I got, believe it or not, was from some Christians. And they were just, "Ah, this is what I believe." I was like, let's get it straight. I'm showing you that what you believe is wrong, and you got guilt and bondage and shame and all of that you don't have, and you're telling me, well, this is what you believe anyhow. But wait, who I heard it from were people who that particular subject matter, I was like, didn't you say you're dealing with this anyhow? Like, you should be happy. It's
Right.
crazy because some people love to be in bondage. Some people love to be entangled and bound up. Like, I'll never understand that. Like, it's Stockholm syndrome. Some people love, these types of things. And so, yeah, that's always an interesting subject because, I just like to give people the freedom. I believe the gospel is good news. And so whenever I'm presenting from that perspective, it's always good news. But we've seen some people who I was like, what are you talking about? So, that was one of the most interesting because I was blown away by it. And then, politics, of course, is always another especially today, right? It's like,
Yeah.
especially in the world today. And all I was doing was encouraging people to vote. That was it. And I remembered some of the feedback I got. It seems like you're favoring her over him, or you're favoring this. I was like, I didn't say anything. I said, go
Yeah.
vote. I said, but make sure you're not voting against your own interests. It was really interesting to see how people heard what they wanted to hear and didn't necessarily listen to what was said. And it taught me a lesson as a leader and a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a pastor, and all that. A bishop, which is just a pastor, two pastors, which is that um, people in today's climate and culture, they're not as much concerned about the truth as they are the narrative. And many people have already decided there's a narrative they want to believe. Like if you want to
Yeah.
believe it's too hard for you to win, that's your narrative.
But the
If you
truth
want
is
to
something else.
Yeah, but if you want to believe that you know what, the world's stacked against you, if you want to believe that, that's your narrative. It doesn't matter that the truth says that's not it. That's your narrative. So I learned, and this is why I have the attitude that I do. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna do what I do, and who loves it, great. Who doesn't love it, great too. Either way, it's great.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt me,
No,
right?
I'm not hurt at all. I'm good.
But that is very hard to achieve. That's like a saint level of thing. We are humans, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're sitting in a room, and even somebody looks at you with a different kind of face, right? Different gives you a different look. You start thinking about, okay, what's going on? Am I
Hmm.
doing something wrong?
Hmm.
What it is, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So how do you get to that stage?
Yeah, to be honest, again, that's one of those evolution things because I used to take everything personal. And
Yeah.
I remember one day we got a review from somebody that said I was telling everybody they had to give me $10,000 or God wasn't going to bless them. And I said, that's the furthest thing from the truth. I said, I never said anything like that. I
Right.
said, like, just, and so I remembered that. And I remembered I was so mad about it and I took it personal and I was like, oh. And I just had to then realize, like, one, I know it wasn't true. Everybody knew it wasn't true. Like, this is easily, you can go watch the video and see that that's not true. But it's back to the principle. I said, this is a person that is into the narrative. And so then here's the saying I came up with to help me. When you call the shots, you have to take the shots. Goes with it. Now, so then what do I do about the shots that I have to take? There's one of two things. There's certain shots that don't affect you. Like, I'm not going to be bothered by that. There's certain shots you shoot back. And what I mean by shoot back is you deal with the issue. So like when that person did that review, I said, yeah, fight that with tooth and nail, because that's not true. We can easily disprove that. Because that's making it look like I was out here trying to make everybody get like, come on, that's not it. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Um, and I realized you call the shots, you take the shots. There are going to be moments where people are going to say things and you're going to be like, that's not true. That's crazy. You know what I have to learn how to do? I stay out of the comments. Because there's a lot of unhappy people. I call them
Yeah.
thumb thugs. They're thumb thugs. They're only thugs behind their thumbs while they're on their
Right.
phone. Because they'll never do that in person. They'll never say that to you. But in this little, world where they get to say whatever they want to say online. And normally those aren't people with their picture. Normally it's a little doodle image or something or whatever,
Yeah.
some little
Yeah.
avatar. Normally people don't do that. Those things happen. And I just realized I don't care. I detethered my sense of value, purpose, worth, investment, etc. I detethered that from what anybody has to say about it. So again, back to something I started with. I don't live for the people's applause. So I don't die
Yeah.
for people's silence or their criticism. I'm good either way. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm going to believe what I believe. I'm going to always strive to do it in a way. Now, this is me that builds people up. I'm always going to strive to do it that way. But other than that, people say, oh, I don't like that business for me. That's okay. I might not like you. That's okay. Right.
That's
I
okay.
don't like what he's teaching. Okay. I mean, I
Okay.
that's fine. Change the channel. Don't watch it. When
Yeah.
it comes to business, I don't like the way he does business. Okay, then let's not do business together. There's other businesses to
Exactly.
buy. There's other things to do. I learned I don't want to spend my time trying to fight with people or trying to fix people.
That's both you cannot do, right?
Can I do? Yeah, can I do? So I don't do it. I don't try to do it. If somebody, even when it comes to staffers or team members, you may hire people who sometimes they think they're going to tell you how they're going to do it. Mm-mm. Not for me. So it's okay. If you want to do that, you should go read my course and take my course on starting your own business because you want to be in charge. So you should go do your own thing, but not with me. Is that it is, right? I
I
mean,
I am amazed because the way you're saying these small, simple things.
yeah,
You want to lose weight? Okay,
yeah,
stop eating after 6.
yeah.
Uh, don't eat junk food. Go on a walk. It's simple, right?
Simple.
And then when you are you're like taking everything personally and stuff, don't do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's that simple. Don't do
It's,
it.
it's that simple. Yeah. We overcomplicate stuff a lot.
Yeah, we complicate things.
Yeah. And you want to know who does it the most? The smartest people. Very smart people always overcomplicate things. Have you ever
Yeah,
noticed this? Tell me if you've noticed this. Extremely smart, and I'm not calling anybody dumb or stupid. I'm not saying
yeah,
that at all. So this is not a demeaning comment, but people who tend to be very intellectual, very cerebral, very pedagogical, very smart, they tend to overcomplicate everything. And what it does is it muddies the water so you think it's deep, but it's not really deep. It's just muddy. It just looks
buddy.
confusing, but it's not.
Yeah,
But then if
yeah,
you notice there's certain people who are not necessarily on the higher end of those things of smart or intellectual part, again, not calling anybody dumb, it's not a demeaning comment. They don't see it. So they're quicker to take action. So many times you see average people succeeding and excellent people not succeeding because the average person didn't complicate it. They just took action. But the
yeah,
excellent person, they are so busy complicating it, they've been working on a business plan for 2 years. While the other guy's already made $10 million. Get started. Do it.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
simple. And I learned stop complicating stuff. Just keep it simple. It's not that complicated. And when I live my life that way, oh my God, results come so easy.
Super amazing. That's super amazing. And Bishop, there are so many people. Some of our viewers also listening this, we don't know, are feeling overwhelmed,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
what is your advice for people who are drowning right now?
Yeah. You know what? I love your analogy of drowning because when I was a kid, we were in Memphis. I got thrown into the pool and I couldn't swim.
Yeah,
Somebody thought it was a joke. And they pushed me into the pool, and it was a deep pool, right? I could, my feet couldn't touch the bottom. So it's not like they threw me into the 3 feet or something, right? The kiddie side. I couldn't swim. Here's what I did. I was panicking. 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 And what was crazy is people were watching me panic and watching me go into the water. They didn't know what was happening though. They didn't know that, they're over there laughing and they didn't know like, oh, he really can't swim. They didn't even see what was happening. And there's something powerful there. Sometimes you're mad that people didn't help you. It's because they didn't actually really know you needed help because you made it look so good and look so easy. They didn't even know. But here's what I did.
Right.
To your question about those who feel like they're drowning, I stopped panicking. I calmed down. So number one, calm down. All right. Emotions make it very difficult for you to make intelligent decisions. Calm down. Bring all the emotion out of it. Relax. So I calmed down. I stopped. I stopped doing all that. I calmed down. Then I was like, okay, either I'm gonna drown in this water or I'm gonna get over here to this wall because nobody's coming to help me clearly because they're watching and nobody's doing anything because they don't know to do anything because they think it's a joke, right? They didn't mean anything negative by it. So I calmed down. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I know enough to move over there to get over there to this wall. I got over there to the wall and I grabbed the wall and I said, okay, I'm safe. I got out of that pool. And, because I was going underwater, I had a bunch of water in. So, the water that came in, I had to get out. I calmed down. I found the next step that I needed to take. And then I took it. Now, I know that sounds very simple, but
Yeah.
again, back to what we just said, it is. I know what it is to feel overwhelmed. I told you about coming into my office on a Monday and listen, the earth was on fire as far as I was concerned because all the banks we used, all of that was that way. I remember getting a call that's business. I remember getting a call on a Friday morning. If I told you one year at the church, we had to move like 5 times between like '06 and '08. I got a call on a Friday morning at 8 a.m. One of the school that we rented said to us, well, the principal wasn't aware that a church was going to be there and she doesn't want a church there. So I could make it so you guys can't go back, but I'm going to give you one more Sunday. That Sunday was Easter Sunday. So that's kind of a big deal in the world of church,
Yeah.
right? So Friday, I'm hit in the face with like, where are we going to go after this Friday? We're going to have to move equipment. We're going to have to move. Like, what am I going to do? And by the end of that day, Friday, we had secured our first deal, our first lease. Um, I know what it is. So I'm not just telling you because, oh, he's there, he's there.
Yeah.
I know what it is to be doing this. Calm down. Stop being emotional. Calm down. What's the next step? Take it. That's how
Right.
you do it. That's
So,
that's that's how you do it.
so calm down, take the emotions out of the picture, and then think through and get the next logical step. You don't have to get the full picture, right?
Nope.
Just get the
Nope.
next logical step, and then when you reach there, you will know what is the next logical step,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Once I figured out I can move around, I
Yeah.
moved to the wall. Once I got to the wall, I got out. It's the next step. And sometimes the reason you feel overwhelmed is because you're trying to think 45 steps down the road. Stop it.
Right.
You're doing
Right.
too much. You're overwhelmed because you're doing it to yourself. You're doing too much. Bring all that down, calm down, take the next step, and then the next step. It's like, think about it this way. You can't even take your next breath until you release your previous one. Right? Think
Exactly.
about it. Inhale, exhale. I can't even inhale until I exhale. I can't exhale. I can't do both at the same time. And this is why you
Yeah.
feel overwhelmed, panic, because you're not allowing yourself to follow natural progression. I can't take my next step until I release my previous step.
Yeah.
It's super
Awesome.
simple. Just
Super
calm down,
simple.
take the next step, and then the next, and then the next, and so on. And before you know it, you'll work your way right out of a problem.
Superb. That is a superb advice. Thank you so much, Bishop.
Yes.
Uh, One interesting question I want to ask you, like today, Bishop Kevin Foreman, right? Imagine young Kevin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to young Kevin?
You know what I would say to him? I would say to him, be bold all the time. That's what I would say. Um, if I'm honest, now, although I spend lots of my life in front of cameras, in front of stages, in front of crowds of, depending on what it is, tens, fifties, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, there's a part of me that from a kid was shy, very shy. And every now and then it'll try to come out. And I'll ask myself, like, why are you being shy about this? Like, why are you being shy about that? And everything you want is on the other side of what you haven't done. So be bold. Everything you want is on the other side of the questions you didn't ask
You
or
didn't
the
ask.
steps
Yeah.
you haven't taken. Be bold. And every time I was bold, I got blessed. So if I was to use that, and blessed is bigger than a Christian word. It's a life. It's a life word. It's a universal word. It's an empowerment. That word we see introduced, in antiquity, and so everything that I wanted was on the other side of boldness. And I say that to everybody. I would tell that little guy who was trying to protect his mom, trying to protect his brother and sister, was a little, I won't say chubby, but a little thick. I'll say a little thick. Juicy is actually what I say. A little juicy, but very, very handsome. The girls they love me. They used to call me in the South, we're built a little different. So they used to make fun of my backside. As a kid. And so, but I would say to him, be bold. You're gonna win. Be bold. You're gonna win. And I would tell myself that, and I would tell everybody that. Be bold. Even if you don't have what you think you need, be bold. Every time I was bold, I won. Only time I didn't get it is when I didn't want it, and when I didn't fight for it, is when I wasn't bold about it. It's the only time I didn't get it. Every other time, I got exactly what I wanted.
Superb. That was a very honest reflection, Bishop. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
my pleasure.
And what do you want our listeners to take away from your story?
You know what? That it's possible. Everything and anything is possible. Everything and anything is possible. I am proof that you can start from the bottom. As we say in the South, there's a saying, get it out of the mud. I am proof that you can do that. Nobody handed me anything. Nobody gave me anything. You know the saying, silver spoon in your mouth? I didn't have a silver spoon, a plastic spoon, any spoon. What I had was who I was. Great mom and grandmother and other family members, great grandfather, all that, and great people. But the reality is who I am as a man I made. I haven't seen me in my bloodline. I made this version of me. And I'm not done making this version of me. And if I'm honest, it's a God-made version of me, but I'm not done. I'm still becoming, I'm still evolving, and I give myself the freedom to do that. So I would say that to everybody, but would love to connect with people. If they got some value today, they can hit me on socials. All of them are at Bishop Foreman. The website, bishopforeman.com. All my information is there. The books are there. We want to give a special discount for your audience if they text the word Bishop. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes. If they text the
Yeah.
word Bishop to the phone number 55498, we want to give you a discount because I believe anywhere I go, I'm supposed to sow. I want to leave something and bless people wherever I go. So we want to do that. But you have been absolutely, I just got to say this, you've been amazing. And I just want to say this to you publicly. Only eternity is going to tell the lives you've impacted by doing this podcast because it doesn't show up in the data. It doesn't show up in the comments. It shows up in the little things that were said that change somebody's life. And I like to say it this
Exactly.
way: big doors swing on small hinges. You don't know how many hinges your show and your podcast and your life have given to people that keep opening doors for them. So I say this to you publicly because it's the truth. Thank you for what you're doing. We appreciate you.
Truly honored, Bishop. Truly honored. Thank you so much. And one last question
Yeah.
before we let you go. How do you define clarity today?
How would I define clarity? Clarity, whoo, that's a good question. Clarity is knowing enough to take action with courage. Knowing enough. And notice the key words enough. I don't need to know it
Yeah.
all. I just
Yeah.
need to know enough. That's it. Knowing enough to take action with courage. That's what I would define clarity as. And our journey is always going to be that way. If you're not doing something where you don't know a part of it, you're not doing anything big. You're not doing anything significant. You should know enough, but you're not going to know it all.
Superb. That's a superb definition of clarity. Like
Yeah,
you should know only enough, not everything,
yeah,
right?
not everything.
On that note, Bishop, genuinely thank you so much for joining us today. This was a real one.
Yeah.
And before we let you go, I'll ask our viewers to go check out Bishop's books, and we'll also put link in the descriptions and other coupon code that spoke about,
Yeah.
so that you can get discount on the books. So do check out really amazing books. Lot of things to learn.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you everyone for joining today. You've been listening to Chaos to Clarity. I'm your host Piyush Thacker, and I'll see you in the next one.